My name is Woll. I'm president and founder of Wall Software, and I'd like to share a little bit what Delphi means to me over the last 25 years. First, I'd like to give you some background and history of how I got into Delphi in the first place. Back in 1993, I worked for a corporation that used VAX VMS and Pascal to develop telephone testing equipment. At that job, I wasn't that excited about it because my heart was really into the PC revolution at that time, and I wanted to actually get into programming on the PC. So at that time, I used Turbo Pascal. I'm sure you guys all know about that, and the Philippe Kahn days, and there was a lot of excitement there. And then I got into Paradox for Windows, and then I really started studying databases for the very first time. And I started finding out that it needed some tools there. So because I really liked the PC and my job wasn't giving that to me, I applied for a job at Borland at that time. And I remember getting a phone interview, and they asked me C++ questions, and I was sure I aced it. But lo and behold, they never called me back. And I don't know if it's because maybe I got a question wrong, or maybe because I wasn't really using it on my job. I was still doing corporate work and not PC work as far as my day job. Maybe that was why. In any case, I said at that point it was time to create my own company, so it wasn't going to happen otherwise probably. So I started my own company, and I created some tools for Paradox for Windows. I created EasyDoc, which was a documentation tool, and then I created EasyDialogues, which was a library, add-on library for Paradox for Windows. Then about 18 months later, I was invited to a Delphi pre-launch at Scotts Valley. And there was a lot of people there, and the presentation was very in-depth and exciting. I mean, I was blown away by the presentation. It was like a dream come true for a developer. Not only do you have a full language, you have access to all this database connections, and you have a super fast compiler, as well as a rad development environment, which was VCL. And I couldn't wait to get my hands on it. And as soon as the conference was over, the presentation, I downloaded the beta and started working with it and trying to do all the same things to develop database applications. And I found a few areas that it was kind of short on for trying to do the things I did with Paradox for Windows. And then I started thinking, how do I do that? Well, maybe the grid's a little bit short for doing this kind of stuff, or maybe it doesn't have filtering or lookups like the database languages did, like Paradox. So I decided to create some tools in Paradox for Windows that could do the same things instead of always trying to have a developer create these things. So at that point, I said, maybe this could be a real product. So I worked day and night creating this new product called InfoPower. And then about a month or two after that, Delphi was launched. And I had created this ad also for this magazine called Delphi Informant, because back then, the internet wasn't very big. And you had to actually use magazines to tell about your product, or word of mouth and user groups, just like the old-fashioned way. So we did the magazine advertising, and our product was launched, and I couldn't believe the buzz. There was just so much interest in Delphi. I mean, it was unbelievable. It was our phones, when the magazine launched, just ringing off the hook. Everybody wanted these database tools for Delphi to be able to do all the same things that Paradox for Windows could do for them in the past. Because all the Paradox for Windows people, not all of them obviously, but a whole bunch of them that were programmers wanted to be able to do all the same things with a compiler language, not an interpretive language like ObjectPal. So, man, it was blown away by the response. There was so much energy. There was so much new community groups. It was just on fire. So that was probably the most exciting time for me in this whole Delphi history. Since then, Delphi keeps having new versions that keep getting better and better. They've also gone through many company changes that I'm sure some of you are aware of. They got bought out and got transferred. People are worried about, are they marketing it well enough? Because one of the biggest competitors over that time was Microsoft. And who could compete with Microsoft? But in any case, Delphi survived. They went because they had a remarkable tool. And it just ran circles around everything else. And it was so fast. Since then, Delphi has new versions, and it keeps getting better and better. And more recently, in the last 5 years, I think maybe it's 6 or 7 now, they've introduced another library called the FireMonkey library. And just like for Windows, the VCL made it Windows programming super easy. I mean, Windows programming was really hard before that. You didn't really have a object framework. It was all procedural code and just a library, and it was very difficult to write even a Hello World program. And now Delphi's done the same thing for the mobile world. It's allowed you to develop applications with a new framework, and it works just as easily as the VCL. But it also works for mobile devices. It works for OS X. It works for Linux. That's a dream come true again for a developer. You can have one program that works for all the devices. So lastly, I want to congratulate the Delphi team, the pioneers who started it all, and the amazing, robust community that's there now, and it will still continue to be. I just can't believe all the passion that's there and the people that use this product, and it doesn't go away. And Delphi's done a good job protecting that spirit, the entrepreneurial spirit of programming, that just excitement. And there's one word that I want to summarize that Delphi does for me. It's the word joy. And joy in programming, people may laugh at you, but actually I get a joy out of programming in Delphi. So keep it up, Borland, or not Borland now, I was like, keep it up, Embarcadero, and thank you, Delphi. Here's to 25 more.